are some of the biggest reasons why green card holders do not become U.S. citizens. More than 1/3 of green card holders who are eligible to apply for naturalization never in fact go on to apply for U.S. citizenship. For some, it's because they can't. For others, it's because they choose to. So why would they choose to not naturalize? While there are some very clear benefits to becoming a U.S. citizen, there are also some very good reasons to stay a green card holder and to remain a legal permanent resident. And it's important that you understand what each of these reasons are before you make your decision on whether or not to naturalize. Otherwise, you might wake up years later and come to regret your decision. First, what are some of the reasons why someone who may be eligible to apply for citizenship simply cannot? Surprisingly, one of the biggest holdbacks is the cost of naturalization. The reason it's surprising is that the fee for naturalization is not that much more expensive than the fee to renew your green card every 10 years. As of April, the price of naturalization went up from $640 to $760 per application. The price to renew your green card is $465 when you include the biometrics fee. That is a difference of less than $300. Still, that difference is enough to prevent people from taking the step to apply for U.S. citizenship. And while there are fee waivers that are available, many residents are not aware of these fee waivers, so they remain permanent residents and continue to renew their green card every 10 years. The next biggest obstacle that many face to become a U.S. citizen is the English and civics test. Learning the English language can be challenging for many, especially older immigrants. There are also a lot of people that face test anxiety and find the idea of taking a test in front of a USCIS immigration officer unnerving. In addition, there is a common fear that failing the test would actually jeopardize the person's green card status itself, even though it won't. So, out of this fear and intimidation, many immigrants just simply never bother trying. When it comes to the English test, there are actually some exceptions that are made for persons who have been a lawful permanent resident for many, many years. But just like the citizenship application fee waiver, many are not aware of these exemptions. So many end up remaining a green card holder throughout their years instead of even trying for naturalization. Another reason why many immigrants may choose to remain a green card holder instead of becoming a U.S. citizen is that they do not want USCIS to look into their past. They might be worried that because of their past immigration or criminal history that their citizenship application might be denied and that they may also lose their green card as a result. People do not want to end up in removal proceedings, and it is not uncommon for USCIS officers to make their own mistakes and issue green cards without proper waivers and without the proper eligibility. But if given the opportunity to look into their mistakes at a citizenship interview, they do have the power to revoke green cards at that time. So for some green card holders, it is better to remain a permanent resident instead of getting on the radar of USCIS and risk being removed from the country completely. Next, what are some of the biggest reasons why persons may choose not to apply for U.S. citizenship? One big reason can be the fact that they do not want to give up the passport of their own original country. Countries like China, India, and Japan, and even the Netherlands do not allow their citizens to hold dual citizenship, which means that immigrants from these countries must usually turn in their passports when they become a U.S. citizen. Even though the U.S. passport is one of the strongest in the world, with visa-free access to 172 countries, many green card holders are unwilling to make this trade. Why? Because sometimes it may be the case that their own home passport may actually offer a better ability to travel to a wider range of countries or to specific countries that a U.S. passport cannot provide access to. Not only that, many green card holders actually plan to return to their home country after a certain number of years, and such a transition would be easier to make if they remain a citizen and a passport holder of their home country when the time comes. Another big reason why a green card holder may decide not to become a U.S. citizen is because of taxes. They do not want to continue to pay taxes to the U.S. government for the rest of their lives, which is a responsibility that U.S. citizens have until the day they die. Both permanent residents and U.S. citizens do have an obligation to pay taxes on their income, no matter where in the world the income is derived from. But if you want to eventually move to another country, you will probably want to not have to pay taxes to the US. It's often much easier to abandon your residency as a green card holder than to renounce your US citizenship in order to avoid double taxation. And if you've been out of the country for 8 years out of the past 15 years when you abandon your residency, then you may be able to avoid paying an exit tax when you leave. So many immigrants will remain a lawful permanent resident the entire time that they live in the US, making it eventually easier to live abroad when they choose, without worrying about US taxes. Another commonly cited reason why people choose to remain a green card holder is because of property ownership in their home country. Countries like China, Thailand, and the Philippines have restrictions on foreign citizens owning property there. That might mean that if you become a US citizen, you may have to sell property that you own in your home country before becoming a US citizen, or renounce your citizenship before buying or inheriting property abroad. Not only that, if you are a US citizen who owns property abroad, you may still have to pay US taxes on any income that you earn on such property. So in order to avoid this situation, you may decide to remain a green card holder instead of becoming a US citizen if you own or plan to own property in foreign countries. Next, many green card holders choose to skip naturalization because they simply don't have a strong desire or reason to become a US citizen. They feel like their permanent residency already provides to them the benefits that they need, and they do not see any additional benefits of becoming a US citizen. They can already live inside the US, work inside the US, and travel in and out of the country with ease. And while there are some restrictions on the amount of time that a green card holder can spend outside of the US, it's not a big deal if you rarely travel, and even if you plan on spending a long time out of the US, you can still apply for special re-entry permits to be able to return here. As a result, they simply can't justify the time and effort and money required to naturalize. Now, I do want to take a moment here to emphasize that being a permanent resident is not the same as being a US citizen, and there are definitely some benefits that are great in becoming a US citizen, such as being protected from being put into removal proceedings should you happen to commit certain crimes here inside the US or even abroad outside of the US. Lastly, if you fail to pay your taxes or spend too much time outside of the US, if you are a US citizen, you cannot be put into removal proceedings for these reasons. So even though people may decide to remain a green card holder, there are still some risks that it may carry. Regardless, many will choose not to naturalize because they simply don't see the benefit. Another common reason why people do not naturalize is because they simply do not want to become American. A lot of immigrants see the political turmoil and other negative factors inside of the US and don't feel confident that they will have a secure future here. Others disagree with some of the things that the US may currently be doing around the world and do not wish to be associated with it. And some have a very, very strong attachment to their home country and do not want to lose the ability to say that they are a citizen of that country. National identity is, of course, very important. Whatever the reason might be, the fact is that there are many immigrants inside the US who would have a lifetime dream of becoming a US citizen. And for those who are eligible to do so and for whom there are no problems, I highly encourage that you seek citizenship. Before you write off citizenship completely, it is important that you understand the benefits of becoming a citizen. There are also many equally important reasons why you may choose to become a US citizen instead of remaining a green card holder. I cover all of them here in my video, Green Card versus US Citizenship, What No One Will Tell You. I'll include a link to that video here, so click now to watch it next.